path is clear.
It's Dota time, and I'm your host Xavion today, and I want to be talking about
I go.
attribute bonus, something that's been in the game for decades. Basically, it was the bread and butter of Dota since Dota 2 first started, and now it's removed. What used to happen is you had the option of leveling attributes, which gave you two of each attribute. So you got two agi, two strength, and two intelligence. But now it's replaced by the talent tree. What used to happen though is carries like anti-mage would get one of each skill like this, and then they'd get lots of stats. So this meant that they were tankier at certain points of the game than they should have been, just because they chose stats over abilities. Now, however, with the talent tree, you're always going to be leveling your abilities, so that an anti-mage might have a max level blink earlier. And this goes for all heroes. So what I would classify attribute heroes as was that there was the carries that wanted to tank up and or farm faster, and there were the supports who wanted to, well, tank up, but also they didn't think one of their skills was worth it. So here's a couple of heroes that I think are a good example of. Dazzle often used to skip Poison Touch, maybe only get one level, and then he would get stats, because he wanted to get his Grave and Heals off, because Clutch Grave is going to do more than a little bit more damage and a stun on the Poison Touch. Ancient Apparition was sometimes like this too. However, there is a reason I think Anti-Mage is more important than every other one. First off, a lot of these heroes have talents that now give them what they got stats for. Sven's a good example of this. 200 mana or 6 strength. So, one of the reasons they used to get stats was for mana. So someone like Juggernaut or Sven, sometimes they didn't think it was worth getting extra levels of Stormhammer or Warcry early on, so they would get stats. It tanks them up and it gives them more mana. Well, with Sven, he has a level 10 talent that lets him get what he wants. Dro has a similar one. She has plus 5 all stats, which is the equivalent of 2.5 attribute bonus in the old days. Anti-Mage, however, has 6 strength or 20 damage. Now 6 strength is less than what he would have previously gotten at level 10, and it means he's also squishier prior to level 10. Medusa is a bit similar because she gets intelligence, which is effectively HP because of mana shield, but it's anti-mage I think is the big loser, and how this is going to switch how you actually play. So Dazzle, for example, he can get 125 health, and even then he normally got his stats later in the game. Phantom Lancer was a bit like this. He would often get stats after level 10, such as instead of Phantom Rush. Same with Dro, often they'd get some other points and then only get a couple of points in Frost Arrows. Anti-Mage, however, was the biggest culprit of getting stats before level 10, and that's where it's going to make the biggest difference. And this is where you have to play differently against Anti-Mage now. He gets 6 strength at level 10, but before that, he is squishier than he has been at any point in like the past 4 or 5 years, ever since the stat build has been common. So an anti-mage early game is what you should be ganking, because he's squishier now. He never used to be this squishy, but as soon as he hits level 10, he gets 6 strength. If the anti-mage player is a bit smarter or careful, he may rush treads before going into, say, Perseverance or something. But a lot of them, especially in this early patch phase, will still be using older builds. And the older builds would have incorporated leveling stats into it, and thus the itemization would be light on stats. So the key thing you would do now is gank an anti-mage between level 1 and level 9. Specifically level 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, because those 6 levels he will be squishier than he was before. But as soon as he hits level 10, 6 strength, look at that. It's at 120 extra HP, unless of course you want 20 damage, but that's pretty greedy. As for the other heroes, it doesn't matter too much. You obviously will get stunned by Dazzle now, and you will get Phantom Rushed more. Dro as well is going to be doing more. Medusa's split shot is normally the one people would skip. Some people skip Mystic Snake as well, but Mystic Snake actually does a lot of damage. But that's the general idea, is that it's because it's changed. Some heroes like Sven, it hasn't really mattered because he gets good talents anyway. Yes. But with anti-mage, he's really much weaker earlier on, but then later on he gets a bit stronger. I mean, 15% evasion is pretty good. It means he could get 15% evasion and then build a heart as well, which instead of a butterfly, depending on his build. But that's just my general thoughts and attributes. I think talent's a great addition to the game, but I just think they're pretty crappy at the moment. There needs to be more cool ones, and at the moment there just isn't cool ones. Like this one here, 600 Phantom Rush range, that is cool. That is a cool thing to get. This one as well, a pretty cool negative 6 second poison touch cooldown, which as you said, it's only 7 seconds, so that's like a lot of poison touches that you can be spamming out in a team fight if you so choose. But in general, that was just a quickie on attribute bonus that I wanted to quickly cover before I go into more detailed things later on in the patch, because this is one of the major changes of 7.0. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, subscribe, like, and do all that. And I hope to see you next time on Dota Time. Whee!
Safe word.
Safe word.